Hello everyone, this is Alan. We're back with our challenge. It has been a week or so, and I hope everybody's been busy creating and getting involved in their interest and their writing. This is our syllabus. If you have not viewed it already, and if you need a copy, please let me know. Here it is. Okay, here it comes. All right, so we're in our 6th week, and today it's due your creative essay and poem, which has to do with your poem, I guess, being part of your essay. Yeah, that's right. And don't forget, we are also looking for references, at least 3 references. If you don't have those, please provide those in next week's bibliography. Because revisions are due on your bibliography also, so you're going to have to double up on things and try to make sure your reflection journal and so forth is ready for the 7th week assignment or challenge. I continue to do mine off air, of course, and hopefully that helps you. And I'm going to continue to show you what I'm doing here as we continue to record. Just checking. I hope everybody can see that. If not, I'm going to blow it up for another 25%. This is where we are. We're in the 6th week. Visualizing your ideas, integrating multimedia. You should have reviewed your article on visual literacy in the academic writing. I have one here for you if you have not found your own, which I recommend that you go and find your own. This is mine. Examine intersections between visual literacy and digital technology in English language programs for higher education. Now, mine is more educational based. Yours may be more academic based or MLA based, which is not to say it's not valid, just to say that I have more details here. And there are recommended articles down here. Gender fair language and English language teaching, measuring digital skills in community adult learning settings, implications, assessments, and so forth. I can view more, which I don't think will help you. What I'm looking for, and what I think we're looking for here, and is this. I'm looking for an article, and I'm going to do it right here just to work with you. I'm looking for an article on visual. Let's see. I had it just a minute ago. Just a second. Just give it a second, folks. Take a minute. We want an article on academic writing and visual literacy. So we go to our basic Google and we do a visual literacy. Oh gosh, what am I saying? Academic writing and visual literacy. Thank you. Article on academic writing and visual literacy. Okay, and it will give you one right here. The College and Research Library has articles. Here's a full article by Taylor and Francis online. Let's see what that looks like. I don't want to get into rhetoric so much because that can lead you down a path that I don't think I want you to go down. Although, you know, Duke University is prestigious. So it gives you a definition, I think, of visual literacy. It gives you a journal entry. It goes into what it is. And I think this abstract is good. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, you can also click on this to increase the size. You have a citation here, which is a given. Maybe that will help you. Here is the HTML. Cite this article. You can always click that. And it'll provide that site for you. Here's other visual articles, visual literacy articles. Okay, so how did I get there? Again, I went to Google and I did a searching for an article. Let me get back over here so people can see me. I searched for academic writing in visual literacy article, or article in academic writing in visual literacy. And you're going to do that for yourself to give you more ideas on what visual literacy is and how that may help you in your pursuit. Okay, so back to our syllabus. And if you have any questions, please contact me and leave comments. Okay, back to here. I had some concerns myself with the visual, not only the visual literacy article, but annotated the bibliography of 3 digital resources you plan to incorporate in your final project. Now, they say bibliographies because we're talking about people that are representing your interest. And I would say you can do 3 separate resources or 1 resource of a person. I would say for me it was Phyllis Wheatley and the new letters, new legal letters and legalities and literature about her husband, John Peters, who was very litigious or went to court a lot for the rights, I guess, relating to Phyllis Wheatley's writing. And, not only the writing, the right to live at the house that he was living at. There was concerns that he may have not been the sole proprietor or owner of that estate or property, but and so later on, through all that confusion and loss of 3 children, Phyllis Wheatley and John Peters, I believe, separated. However, there's not a lot of documents to prove where the children went, what happened to the children. I believe 1 daughter lived, but of course, there's always that issue of public and private life. So we don't know what happened, and we don't have evidence of that. But we do have the legal letters, or we do have letters and legal documentation about John Peters, and maybe some implications about Phyllis Wheatley still being married to him, and the descriptions. Of course, the issue today now is, or not today, but always, is women's rights. We can see that with right to life issues. So, not getting into that too much. That's my interests, because I'm always interested in how not only Phyllis Wheatley was a former writer of poetry, a lady of letters, African American lady of letters, which is, I think, posthumous. She was given that, I believe, after her passing. She was given that. However, she lived in poverty and as a servant the later parts of her life. So her prestige was given and honored, but it was not sustained. And so And I think that's a shame in itself. But long story short of it, to annotate that, I went through just some basic Google searches again, and I got the basic information. I don't suggest Wikipedia, but Wikipedia is a source. It's not a valid academic source, so you can use it, but it's not going to be one of your three. So again, Google search, do your biography search on your individual, do a general search. I would say do a journal search in like something like ERIC for academics, academics research, and find those biographies. And you may find that there are some overviews or abstracts or descriptions before they even get into the article, and that will help your annotation. Don't make it hard on yourself, and remember, annotations do not have to be more than a page double spaced. And you want 3 of those, but remember, don't forget your resources, and I provided that in the last video, or in the video before that, and how to do that. Okay. I also did some searching for a proper way of finding tips on doing the art of group presentations. Now, I've had a couple of those, however, they were not as structured as I hope that yours would be in the future for yourself. Now, this gentleman right here, he has given tips on how he used 3 tips on great public art presentations. So he gave us 3 tips, but he gave us more details than I expected, which is very nice of him to do that. If you're a visual artist and you're writing about your visual art or poetry or entertainment theater or something like that, remember to consider, what he says, that maybe some visuals will help. But I would say keep it low on the visuals, because this is more of a writing course. Okay, so a writing exercise. So, and then I picked up, there was another thing I was going to show you. I hope I found it. It was very important. I thought it was very nice. Anyway, I think what I did, and before I got into this, let me see if I can find it for you. 1, 2, 3. And of course, it's another search of an article, if we can find it. Some of this stuff is not helpful, I guess. Okay, so I'll tell you what I did, and hopefully you can help one another with this. What I did is I went to YouTube and I searched the art of group presentations. Okay, so you can do that too, I guess, here, and I'll show you. So this gentleman did this one, but before that I did this, or after that. See how in here I say group, the group presentation of art. Well, you can do the art of the group presentation, and when you do that search, oops, something happened there. Okay. Oops, I hit the wrong button. Okay. Okay, so we came up with this gentleman here who says 3 magic ingredients for amazing presentations. Now, I say that groups presentations are not a science. There are collaborations, and they have to flow nicely. And I suggest that, if anything, to look at how to use these 8 tips on presentations, and how to consider using a monitor or screen, or even held up images of your work. Now, strategies are good. I would say don't give me graphs. I'd rather not have graphs, and less images, and more of the separate documentation. that we talked about. So you're going to have the resources, you're going to have the journal reflections, and you're going to show me those 3 to 5 paragraphs in that poem after the introduction. This is all what I'm envisioning, and with that, of course, you can use your poem as an image. You can connect that to your document. Copy and paste is always easy, right? You may even mention it as a image in your writing. But remember, what you're supposed to have is pros and cons in your writing. What I did in mine is I did a comparison, but that comparison is not emphasized as a comparison. It's comparing certain aspects of my writing about Phyllis Wheatley and how I used it in one of my books, which I will get for you. My recent published middle grade novel. I did some research and I put some ancestry related to Phyllis Wheatley's surname, if you will, which is not probably her African name. And of course, I don't know if she went by Peters later on in her life. Oh, yes, she did go by Peters later in her life. So maybe this is not as valid as I hoped, but as a piece of fiction, it points you towards the direction of what I was trying to provide as evidence to that Phyllis Wheatley's background. Of course, we don't have much time to go over that, but I do want to continue our challenge. So, what was I just saying? Listen to this. Listen to these. Choose 1 or 2 of these videos, and you will find that using these videos will also give you reference, which is going to help you with your biography, or I shouldn't say biography because I think that's misleading. I want to see references. Once you use the word reference as opposed to bibliography or biographies, you can use what I used when I was in composition courses and writing courses. It's different when you're doing how do I say this? Archival research or peer review research as opposed to video research or article research that we're looking for. So I would say use Work-Cited as opposed to bibliography or references. You can find that in Purdue, of course. Excuse me, my eyes itching. And lastly, let's go over this. We're going into the 7th week, and I will not always be there to tell you what to do. So continue to share with your group. If you don't have a group, make a group. If you don't have a group, make sure you're working online with somebody like a tutor and somebody who knows what you're working on. Support is very important in this writing. And it can be fun because you'll get different opinions from different people and their different points of view or their perception of what you're writing about. So due on the 7th week is revised biography and reflection journal. And then on the 7th week, you will be we're in the 6th week, so next time is the 7th week. So this is what I'm expecting. This is what I'm working on. Again, I have, I think, more than 5 resources. So you should have at least 5 to 7 resources. And don't forget to have your reflection journals going. That's going to be your mainstay. Mine is right here, and that was for writing. And this one right here This was for reflections, okay, and I'm still reflecting on my writing. As you may or may not know, I am also writing a book, so that is almost done, and I combined my graduate work, or my postgraduate work, I think, postgraduate work. It's a revised postgraduate work that I spoke about. This is this booklet was a presentation, so that kind of helped with my graduate work. And so so I used my most recent, and then I used my graduate work, and so I believe somewhere in between, and it's called the left to the left of the center. To the left of the center and Wave Grafting, collection of poems. It's a book of poetry, and it kind of brings you from the present to the past and how that relates to culture, art, and identity of voice. So I'm really narrowing down on where I'm going, and of course healing, because healing is very important to me as I write, and I hope that helps you in your writing. And that's what my goal is for this challenge that I created. Okay, so peer reviews, group collaboration, peer review, provide feedback on your peers. Remember, if you're given feedback, please also document that in your reflections. Who are you talking to? How is that reflecting on your feedback to not only them, but also to your writing? And please, I would say delineate that. Give it a paragraph. Give it another paragraph. Give it a sentence. A paragraph can be 3 sentences. And during my graduate studies, it could be even a sentence or a statement. So don't hold yourself to that in your reflection, that it has to be sternly, it has to fit into your academic essay right away. You have to do revisions. Revisions are important. Reading things, making sure that you are right on point with what you're doing, your interest, not other people per se. However, their points of view are very important too, because it helps you to become more critical of your work, and not to criticize your work, but critical, because I'm sure you have more positives than you have negatives to do in this work. Okay, so group work, begin collaborating on your final multimedia group presentation. If you have images, make sure the images have some relation and they work with the group presentation about a central theme that perhaps has to do with visual literacy. I'm just saying. Visual literacy and how it relates to your interest, right? Entertainment, arts, culture, sports. So there you have it. Reflect on group dynamics in collaborative in your collaboration. Reflect on group dynamics in your collaboration. All right. You're going to do that in your reflection journal. I think that would be safe. And also, don't forget to encourage one another. I think the best way of getting the best feedback is to praise one another and to lift each other up, and to say, or to express non-verbally that maybe you're not following along with what they're throwing down, and maybe that would help them. You don't have to get angry or belligerent or condescending. You can and you don't have to be on the defense. I'm working on issues of adversity myself and trying to say, how do I communicate effectively? And that's what your reflections are about. That will help you with your writing, your academic writing, because we're not looking for arguments. We're not looking for arguments, although arguments seem to come about in this writing. Sometimes less is said, the more is conveyed. That's how I have learned. And some would say that's persuasion, you know. And if you've ever heard about persuasive speeches, sometimes the most informal speeches are the most persuasive, and they hold a level of debate. So I'm hoping this helps you in this video, because I think I've provided a good basis for the next what this challenge is going to be all about. And we're doing a lot of great stuff, and we're looking at good areas of how to write more effectively. Don't worry about the 8th week that I'm looking here, because we're going to do that together. If you're going to do a presentation for 3 to 5 minutes, I'm doing a presentation for 3 to 5 minutes. All right, research-based essay. I'm not going to read my essay. I'm going to give you a presentation of the project and the main arguments and creative elements. And we're going to reflect on those, reflect on my journal entries, discussing learning the journey, and how you understand of what has understand of the academic writing has evolved. That seems just juxtaposed, but what I'm trying to say is, we're going to discuss on how this writing has been, this process has been translated into your own understanding of academic writing. How's the journey been, right? That's what's going to happen next week. We're going to talk about the journey and how the academic writing has come about for you, and I'm going to do it too. And then we're going to revise our final essays and multimedia. Here we go, based on the feedback. So if you don't have visuals yet, don't worry about this visual presentation or video presentation, because I'm getting feedback too. For instance, let me bring up another element that I found in my writing. Of course, as you know, I am not only a writer, I am also a visual artist, intermediate media artist, if you will, visual literacy artist. And here, I'm going to show you something that I discovered about my voice, and I think this may help you. So I'm glad you're hanging in there, folks. I'm going to manage my portfolio, I guess. Let's see if that helps. See if it comes up. What I'm trying to throw down here. I put 3 pieces of art on there, but I want you to see my biography, because this will help you with your initial, I think, a reflection, your initial reflection. You should have this all done, your reflection. But again, we're revising also more information, right? We're always revising. We're trying to get more clarity on what we're all about and where we're heading in our interests. And that's what the writing and the journal writing is all about, right? We're probably not going to have something perfect right away, but we're gonna provide something that's going to be professional, and I think that's going to be great. So now Redbubble is mostly just for artists, but it can be a good avenue for writing a good bibliography. So, of course, my name is Alan Adrian Tompkins. I'm a fine artist whose work blends the lyrical beauty of music, nature, and life into expressive visual art. With a background in digital literacy and poetry, his creations embody the harmony between notes and letters, reflecting his passion in language in rhythm, inspired by the voices of disenfranchised of the disenfranchised. Allen's pieces aim to uplift, connect, and honor humanity. Based in New York State, he invites you to follow his journey and engage with his work on social media. Now, what I discovered in this, and that's I edited it with his work in social media. I was going to say, as a disabled individual in the crypt society or in the crypt community, but I found that the term, people use terms such as stereotypic terms. I'm not going to go into them all because we've heard them all mostly in the news. But if you type in stereotypical terms and political incorrectness and what we call each other and curse at each other, then you know what I mean. So I said to myself, do I want to put crypt in there? Do I want to put something that's going to be negative in there? For instance, in my new book, and we're going over a half an hour, folks, but let me just see if I can do this quickly. Hopefully everything will save. In my new book, I combined my bibliography with my writing. So I'm trying to give it multi-layers. But what I found, my book review. So what I found was that I wasn't being absolutely truthful because I was more concerned about opposed to my own needs. So let me see if I can get this. Excuse me. Are we still here? Are we still here? Yeah. Okay. We're still recording. Let's see if I can get this up here. All right. So we're having some difficulties. Okay. So let me get some of these pages out of here. We did talk about all this stuff. So let's go here first, and let's go here and get this out of here so we'll record. We will have a better time recording things. Okay. And these are all saved on my tab before, so I'm not going to worry about that so much. Oops. There goes your syllabus, but we already went over those things 3 times already, so we don't have to worry about that. And we went over the Redbubble thing, okay, and biography. And we can do this, and you can see what I did here. Hopefully I'm not giving you too much information, but I am giving you an outline at least. So let's go back down to so right here, and I'm going to do this, do this, do this, down here. I want to read this to you because it gives you a fresh idea of what's going on with our writing challenge. The book review for this new book. This collection blends poetry and creative writing and amplifies the diverse voices of mindfulness and intersectionality. It bridges cultures, arts, and human experiences, inviting readers to explore a unifying expression of contemporary thought and creative power. Now, I like that. And then I go into this here, which is probably not the same as this. Let's see. Excuse me a second, folks. It's 11. Right. That's 12, I think. Okay, they seem to both be 11, I guess. I'll just check it just to make sure, because we don't want to have incongruity. All right. So for lack of that, okay. All right. So we're always about tedious stuff when we're writing, right? I think the fonts of the lettering or something like that is off here. but I don't know what it is at this point, so I think it might be the time. And you'll have these issues too, so we can just apply it. Okay, and all right. So what I was trying to say here, Alan Adrian Tompkins is a poet and visual artist. The author explores themes of identity, grief, and self-discovery. He continues to practice blend. He continues to. I'm going to do this. Continues to blend. See, always revising. Blend American literary traditions. He continues to blend literary traditions with contemporary thought, pushing boundaries and engaging with ongoing dialogues throughout the cross-cultural news of the American climate, in the American climate, of the American climate, in America. How's that sound? I think that's better. I was trying to include everything, climate, and perhaps, that would work in the future tense, but, yep, okay. So, what I can do here, and what I'm showing you here, and I'm not directly telling you, is that there's 2 levels to the biography, right? It gives you what I'm writing about, and then it also tells you about who I am. And hopefully that'll help you to summarize or become more succinct, summarize and become more succinct in your writing of your biography, or even biographies of others. Okay, so I hope this helped you. That was my goal for today, and for the next week. So let me see if I can hopefully record this for you, and everything goes well with your work, and keep up the good work. This is a challenge. I know that some people are more have better skills than other people, but remember, your work is what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at the group work at this point, although there should be a level of consistency in that too, meaning that what is the course that we're in, and you're going to kind of relate your interest to the course and why you're in the course. I think that was said, of course, I think in the first couple weeks. How does this course relate to you, and what do you want to learn? And then you go through the other paperwork, through the other writing. So I hope this helps to ground you in where we're heading, and continue to read and write and keep your interest going. And I'll talk to you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.